We got a question here. I'm a beginner FPV drone pilot for 2 months. Do you have any advice to give me? It would be great if I could progress more quickly because I'm going to the Alps this summer. Um, so advice for a pilot 2 months in. At 2 months in, you probably have your basic piloting down. Obviously, there's always room to get better as a pilot, but you probably you got you're practicing flying, you're working on improving as a pilot, but fundamentally you can fly the drone. I think the thing I would advise you if you're going to the Alps this summer, number one, whether you're from, well, I guess Switzerland or not, wherever you're going, make sure you research the drone laws in the place that you're going, especially if it's not your local country, right? But if you're 2 months in as a noob, then maybe you don't know. If you're a Swiss citizen, you just started flying, may not be an expert on the drone laws. The thing is, if you're flying in your backyard or like in a little local park somewhere, a lot of times you fly under the radar and you don't get in trouble, but then you go to a national park, you go to the Alps, and then suddenly you get attention, that you wouldn't have gotten, and you can find yourself in trouble. I just saw a video of a dude who was flying his drone in Tokyo and was like, he was like arrested, $5,000 fine, and he's just standing there like, oh, I don't know. And it's like, okay, on the one hand, you're a doofus. Like if you thought you could like fly a drone in the middle of Tokyo downtown and like not have that be a problem. But on the other hand, like, I don't know, we probably didn't expect to be like carted off to jail and a $5,000 fine. So I firmly believe, and I always say, know the laws that you're breaking and then decide if it's appropriate and worthwhile for you to break them. Okay. Definitely research that stuff. And the other thing is, if you have never done long range stuff before, I think you should be highly prepared for the likelihood that you lose your bird. If you like go to the Alps on vacation and you decide you're going to fly, like the thing is, there's a point when you're flying a drone where you fly far enough away or in a location where if you crash, you can't just walk over and pick it up again. And when you cross that line, you're in a different regime. And if you're okay with losing your drone, well, then you send it. But like if I was going to do that kind of thing, I would want to have a drone with return to home set up and tested to increase the odds that I make it home. But return to home is going to help you if like your battery comes unplugged in flight or some stupid stuff. If a prop breaks in flight and falls off or some stupid stuff like that. And with only 2 months, well, you're going this summer. If you're going to the Alps in the summer, isn't it currently the summer? So either you're going right now, in which case, with only 2 months of experience, I think probably you should fly very conservatively and not like try to fly up to the top of any mountains because you'll probably lose your drone. Not 100%, but the odds go up. If you're from the southern hemisphere and you're going to be flying in 6 months, maybe you'll have enough experience to really feel a little more confident doing that. The final thing I'll say is, whenever you're flying an RC aircraft or a drone, take baby steps, okay? Don't go from, I can fly around my backyard, to, I'm going to fly 5 kilometers to the top of a mountain. That's too much. That's too big of a bite all at once. Right? Work yourself up to it. Increase the risk, increase the problems incrementally. Okay? So that as problems happen, you are 90% comfortable with what you're doing and you've added 10% unfamiliarity. And when you get into trouble, you can fall back on that 90% foundation and save yourself. Whereas if you get to a point where you're 20% comfortable with what you're doing and you're 80% out in the wilds, when stuff goes wrong, you're not going to be able to, you're going to basically lose the drone or something.
Also,
yeah, Blunty.
Did you mention check regulations and don't get in trouble?
I did. Yeah. Check the laws. So like the very first thing I would do is I would look up drone laws in Switzerland, and I would contact, if possible, I would get in touch with a Swiss FPV pilot who can tell you like he'll be like, yeah, okay, it's illegal, but if you do this, it's probably fine. You know, the lay of the land.
Yeah.
I
No,
know
it's
that. I know. By the way, I know that the Alps are not just in Switzerland. I just picked Switzerland as an example. Go ahead, Blunty.
yeah, it's just good to know if you're breaking laws, what they are. You know what I
100%.
mean?
100%.
Chat is like, who cares? But like, you should know what you might
Yeah.
get in trouble for.
100%. 100%. I would like to do long range between the mountains. I don't think you should. Okay? I don't think you should. I think that that is probably going to end badly, especially if you've never done it before. Okay? There are so many ways that this goes wrong. And probably all it means is you lose your drone. You crash your drone somewhere in the wilderness and you never see it again, which isn't good, depending on how wealthy you are. If it were someplace where there was a fire risk, I would say, well, if you crash your drone and the battery lights on fire and you start a wildfire, that's bad. But probably the Alps are not a massive fire risk. So, probably it's a remote enough area that you're not going to drop it on someone's home or someone's house or someone's vehicle. So those are concerns I would have, but they probably don't exist. I just like you're doing long range between the mountains and then you get caught in a tailwind and you don't realize how far out you are. And then when you try to fly home, you're in a headwind and your battery isn't going to make it back. And now you're 3 kilometers from home and your battery's reading 3.2 volts and you don't know what to do. Right? These are the kind of, or you fly and you make a left turn and you don't realize you've flown behind a mountain peak and now you lose video and you don't know what to do. There are all of the ways that this goes wrong. Or you're like, oh, no. I'm just going to fly from this mountain peak to that one, turn around and come back. And so you fly from this mountain peak to that one and turn around and you're not actually sure which one is the mountain peak you're on because now it's all just a big freaking landscape. These are things that happen as you fly long range. And if they happen, you're taking baby steps and they happen, then you could compensate. But if you've never done this before, just go enjoy your vacation to the Alps and just leave your drone at home. Don't try it. Okay, enough about this. Thank you so much for the question. It's a good question. We're going to move on.